Hello humans, it's just Martine, and in today's video, we're going to be starting a book every single day for the month of September. I've done this challenge 2 times before, one time last year and one time earlier this year, and every time my chief nemesis has been a currently reading of 11 books. And this time I'm determined to not hit that currently reading. I'm determined to keep it below 11. 10, fine. 11, no. So every day in the month of September, I will be starting a new book. Let's see how this goes. It's day 1. I started with a currently reading of 0. I worked really hard to make that happen yesterday. I'm super proud of that. I'm not sure I've ever started this challenge that way before, but that's how I'm starting this time. So I started my first book this morning, and I'm already 25% of the way into it, so feeling good about that. I don't think this will happen, but it would be a little weird if I finished this book and couldn't start another book yet and just sat here for the rest of the day. I don't think that will happen, but imagine if it did. But I'm trying to set myself up for success later on by reading as much of this book as I can today. 25% of the way down, one book started, feeling cautiously optimistic. I did manage to finish book 1 on day 1, so I brought my currently reading back down to 0, but then I added a 650-page epic fantasy as my book that I'm starting on day 2. So that pattern's gonna end quickly. When my currently reading starts stacking up, let's just refer back to this moment when I made this choice. I can just see this being the moment it all falls apart. Yes, it's only day 2, but everything might crumble. It is day 4. Things are going, maybe not as well as they were going at first, but nevertheless, I've got a plan. So my currently reading at this point is 3 because I did start my book for day 4. So that's good. Since the first day, I haven't finished a book. I'm hoping to change that today, but I've been using a different strategy this time than any of the previous times that I've done this challenge. So usually when I do this challenge, I take the book that I'm starting for the day, I read the bare minimum of it to be like, I started this, and then I set it aside and pay attention to the reads that I'm further along in. And this is helpful in some ways, but in others, it means I'm picking up a book, and then by the time I get back around to it, I've forgotten what the first chapter was about. I'm disengaged from the story, and I've barely made any progress on it. So instead, I'm trying this thing where the day that I start a book, that is my priority read for the day. Out of everything I read that day, the majority of my time will be spent reading the book that I started that day. After that, I'll read less of it over time, but eventually I will finish it. So the second day, I started an epic fantasy, and I got a third of the way into the book, which is pretty great progress for a book that size. It's 650 pages. And then yesterday, I didn't spend most of my reading time reading that. I ended up reading 30 minutes of it at some point in the day, but I spent a couple hours of reading time dedicated to the book that I started yesterday. And so I only have an hour and a half left of that book, making it totally possible for me to finish that book today after I give some priority time to today's book. And so I'm planning to spend a good chunk of time reading the book that I start each day and then work backwards. So we'll see if that's at all successful. That's the current strategy, just because I've done this challenge 2 times before and it's always kind of ended the exact same way. So I might as well change the strategy to see if that changes how it plays out, right? No reason not to. Today, I started a Kindle Clear-Out book. I'm 20% of the way into that, and I'd like to get to at least 25% of the way into it before I turn back to yesterday's book for a little bit. But regardless, for the rest of the day, the book that I pick up the most often will be the book that I started today, and we'll see how much progress I can make. I've altered my tactic slightly because it's Tuesday of week 2 of this, and my currently reading is sitting at 3 right now after I started a book this morning. I do think it's a good idea to be reading more of the book that I start each day than I have previously in this challenge. Usually I've read 1 chapter and been that's good, moving on, looking back at the things that I've been reading. But I think spending the majority of my reading energy committing to a new book every day is just letting old ones pile up. And so I've switched my tactic once again so that I do make sufficient progress in a book when I start it. I'm aiming for about 10% of that book as a minimum, but then I spend the rest of my time looking backwards at my old books so that I can keep my currently reading small. And so far, so good. But I am scared because I have a lot of really long books to start this month. Those are going to stack up at a certain point. I'm just trying to avoid starting 500-page books multiple days in a row. but we'll have to see what happens. It is the morning of the 11th, and last night my currently reading ended on 3. It's been hovering around 2 and 3 for the past couple days. You can see my tracker right here. We're like at the end of each day, I write down what my currently reading is. I think tonight it might bump up to 4 for the first time, just because I don't think I'm gonna finish a book today, but if I do well today, it will set me up well to finish a book tomorrow, maybe 2. Maybe that's my preference, I don't know. But I am just like starting long books. I'm really trying to do like start a long book, start a not as long book, so that they aren't just infinitely stacking up. But it's hard because I have so many long books that I like need to read right now. So I started The Dragon Keeper the other day by Robin Hobb, and at least that's not as long as like other Robin Hobb books are. Is it just over 500 pages, just under 500 pages, something around there, not past 600 pages, which I feel like most Robin Hobbs are. And so there's at least that, but it's still really long. And then I started a book for TBR Crime yesterday that's 480 pages and is a slow read too. So like I'm just starting all these long books and it's scaring me. How am I going to keep up with these? Because it's only going to get worse. Like I'm looking at the books that I have left that I have to start this month. So many of them are like over 500 pages for no reason. So this is about to get really hard and I sense that. But also I believe in myself. So we'll see what good that does, you know? Okay, September 14th. We're here. My currently reading is 3 because yesterday I made a really smart decision and I said I'm going to be doing a lot of things on Saturday that will mean that I cannot read with my eyeballs. So my one audiobook for the month, I started it yesterday and I read all of it. So I finished that and then I finished one of my Kindle Clear Out books. Great. So currently reading is at 3, but here's the problem. Then I added a book today. Now all 4 of my current reads are fantasy books. All of them are over 400 pages. I think you might be seeing the problem here. So anyway, last night I freaked out just a little bit. I was like, what am I gonna do to keep my currently reading under control this week? So I wrote out a plan, an incredibly unrealistic, delusional plan, let me make that very clear to you, to see how I could keep my currently reading around 4 or 3 through the rest of this week, based on books that like I have to start this week. So here's where I am. So the book that I started today, I'm supposed to read 25%. Well, I read 10% this morning and it took me 40 minutes. So that's almost 2 hours of reading just that book. Then I have to get to 66% of another book. Now that was entirely unreasonable when I wrote it yesterday. I was at 35% at the time. It's a long, pretty slow book. Nevertheless, I got to 50% last night, so I'm feeling better than I was before. Then I'm supposed to get to 25% and 33% of these 2 other books. I'm in like the teen percentages for those. Okay, I'm off to a slow start with them. That is, believe it or not the worst thing that I have written here. I feel like it gets progressively more insane as the days continue. For example, the book that I want to get to 66% of today, I want to finish tomorrow for some reason. And then the book that I'm going from like 13% to 25% today, yeah, I want to be at 50% tomorrow. I want to read a third of another book. I want to read a quarter of another book. Why do I think I will be able to do this? I will not be. All in one breath, I can tell you, it is possible if you break it down this way, but it is not feasible. And that is something I'm going to have to come to terms with. So now that I've written it out like that, I can see how foolhardy I have been, and I just have to get back to reading. Otherwise, my currently reading will stand not a singular chance. That is the mid-month madness. To be clear though, if I seemed angry in the last clip, I'm not. I'm having a good time. But I am very aware of how exponentially my currently reading could grow from this moment in time. And I'm trying to prevent that. So maybe I won't do this, but I gotta do something. As predicted, the schedule is basically absolutely not going to work because today I've read for 4 hours and 43 minutes so far, and I just reached the place where I'm supposed to be for all the books, and I would say that the schedule for today was like more sane than the one for tomorrow. So like that's not gonna happen, but at least I'm making progress. Yeah, I don't know. Things are going off the rails. It's the 16th. And if my currently reading is not 5 by the end of the night, I'll be shocked because the closest to done I am for anything is I'm at 51% of a book. Everything else I'm nowhere close. And I would argue 51% not close to done a book, especially because it's a pretty long book that I'm at 51% of. So it's like, it's several hours of reading and I don't have several hours to read. So chances are I won't be finishing a book today, and that's fine, but it will bump up my currently reading to 5. It's getting a little stressful, but that's okay. As long as I keep reading, things will work out. Things are indeed starting to spiral. It's the 18th. Last night, my currently reading at the end of the night was 5, and I am not really close to finishing any of those books. I will read 3 hours to finish one of them today, so I'll maintain my currently reading of 5 if everything goes according to plan. But then I will be hours and hours and hours away from finishing anything else. So I guess that's not true. Did I skip a day? Is it the 19th? I'm missing a book here. Wait a second. Yeah, it's fully the 19th. I missed a day. I think my currently reading is 6. That's crazy. I've been so busy that my journal is inaccurate. I'm gonna go fix that. Fixed it. My currently reading is 6. Okay, the problem is even worse than I thought. Hooray! Let's get reading. Every time I update you, I feel like things are spinning rapidly out of control, and then the next time I talk to you, it's worse. So, like, I don't know what to make of that. But it's the 25th, and at the end of last night, my currently reading was 6. So if I don't finish another book today, it will be 7. But I'm hoping to keep it at 6 because I just have an hour and a half left of one book, but we'll see because life has been crazy. But that's fine. I don't know that I have a tactic right now. I think I tried so many tactics, and now I've given up on tactics. It doesn't help that my 3 hours a day reading challenge is done, and so some days this week I've read less than 3 hours, and so like sometimes I'm not making substantial progress on these, and that's fine. And now there are enough of them that there are some books that I'm taking a day or several days in between the times that I read them. Like this one book, I don't think I've read it since the day I started it. I started it on the 18th. That's not good. If I hadn't started with a currently reading of 0, I think this would be the point where I'd have like 11 books going. So I think this is always the part of the month that gets hard. Like the whole month is hard, but this gets really, really difficult. I think I'm just in that spot. And I'm trying my best, and that's all I can do here. So onwards and upwards. We keep rolling. It is officially October, which means the end of this challenge. So I'm here to wrap things up. I did manage to start a book every single day in September. There are 8 of them that I did not finish because I ended September with a currently reading of 8, which is kind of a lot, but also I've done worse before. I will say, numbers wise, if I had not started with a currently reading of 0, I almost definitely would have hit my normal 11 books as like one of my top numbers. 11 to 12 books as a top number instead of 8. I usually start with a currently reading of like 4, and if you add 4 to 8, that's 12. That is something to keep in mind, that the main reason this was more successful than the last couple times was because I genuinely came into this with 0 currently reading, which I've never done before in this challenge. So note to future self, that's the way to do this. I'm glad that I did this challenge because I had so many books that I wanted/needed to start in the month of September, but I am glad that it's over now because I don't want my currently reading to continue to grow semi-exponentially. So mixed feelings about it. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Do you have any reading challenges that you're participating in October? And if you have nothing to say, you can go ahead and leave me a stack of books, the little emoji stack of books, so that I know you were here. And subscribe for more bookish and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!